Praise attestations on Optimism. This is a project update and a demo of the attestation feature being integrated into the Praise dashboard. This project is about taking the collective wisdom in Praise, bringing that information, that knowledge on chain, and then allowing the Optimism community to use that knowledge as one of the determining factors in deciding who is eligible to become a citizen in the Optimism two-house governance system. Before I do the demo, let me just briefly do a refresher on the concepts of attestations and praise. So an attestation is sort of a statement about what is true, about what has happened. I can attest to something happening. I sort of vouch for it happened. I can confirm that this was the case, this thing happened, that it is true. The Ethereum Attestation Service is an open platform Ethereum infrastructure that allows you to make attestations on-chain, to make permanent records of these attestations. And attestations can be given by individuals, or they can be given by communities. In our case, they will be given by communities. Praise, on the other hand, is mostly an off-chain system, has been so far. Praise captures the collective memory of communities and this information about who did what, when, and most importantly, to what impact. And we want to make a permanent record of that information on-chain using the Ethereum Attestation Service so that Optimism can use their information in their governance process. The Praise attestation flow will look like this. Praise comes into the Praise system and gets tied to a Praise period or a Praise epoch. Once that period is finished, it's closed and the Praise is quantified. And quantifying, we mean attaching an impact score to each Praise item, determining the size and the importance of that contribution. And once we have that information as well, then we can create attestations based on Praise items. One individual attestation will contain information about the user contributions made during a specific Praise period. So in this case, you can see that this user received the total Praise score of this and that, and this user was a top 10 Praise receiver and a top 50 Praise receiver, etc. So we take this information, we store it on chain, and then it can be used in the Optimism governance process. Let's have a look at how this looks in real life when we create attestations based on Praise. Praise has a dashboard where you can access analytics, reports, all Praise coming into the system, etc. So let's head over to the Praise periods, and in this case we will look at the July period. Here you see a number of Praise receivers having received Praise. You don't see any scores because this is a demo database that I'm using, but we will be able to create attestations anyway. There's a tab here in the dashboard, Attestations. So the Praise dashboard, it interacts directly with the Gnosis Safe, or Safe, as it's called nowadays, to create these attestations. So each community using this, and Optimism in this case, will need to be represented by one safe address in order to create attestations. This is to add a level of decentralization to this, to allow and require a number of people to sign off on the transaction before creating the attestations. Okay, so let's go ahead and create some attestations for the July period. The Praise dashboard runs a report in the background that generates the raw data needed to create the attestations. Just have a quick look at how that data looks. You can see the data set contains the information about the user's identity, Ethereum addresses, and also these the attestation specific data, such as if you're a top 10 receiver, top 10 giver, etc., your final praise score for that period, and so on. Let's go back and now let's propose this transaction to save. This transaction will require the signature of both the wallet signers, the wallet owners that I'm submitting and proposing this transaction as the first signer. So MetaMask pops up and asks me to sign this message to propose the transaction to save. Signing. And transaction have been proposed. If you would like to see it, the details, you can head over to Save, and you can see here that we have a proposed transaction including 11 transfers or 11 contract interactions, in this case interacting with the Ethereum Attestation Service contracts. So to complete this transaction, let me switch over to another user that is the other signer of this wallet. Okay, I'm switching to my other wallet, signing in with that user, and the Praise dashboard asks me as the second signer to sign this transaction. So let's go ahead and sign it. Signing the transaction. It's signed and ready to be executed. And in this final step, executing the transaction means also paying the gas for this transaction. And in our case, since we're using Optimism, the gas for creating these 11 attestations will be fairly low. Executing. Yeah, low enough not to be displayed at all. Executing, and this usually takes a few seconds, and once the transaction has been executed, it's being indexed by the Ethereum Attestation Service backend, and once it's been indexed, then it will become available to us through their API. So that takes an additional few seconds. So, transaction has been proposed, signed, executed, indexed, and now finalized. Now you can see the details here. You can view the transaction here on the Ethereum, on the Optimism block scanner, or you can also view it on easscan.org, which will give you some more details to the individual transactions. And here we can click on one of them. You see that it was created a minute ago, and let's have a look at one of them. And here on you see the details connected to this attestation, such as the period ID, the received and given score, zeros in this case, because it's a demo, and the additional statistics such as top 10 receiver, giver, etc. I think that's it for our demo. This part of the project is now done, and we are proceeding to building the Optimism Attestation Explorer, which will be a sort of a simplified version of this EAS Attestation Explorer. But this Explorer will be focused then mostly on praise attestations, but can also include other attestations that might be interesting to have a look at when later running this citizens eligibility process. Thank you.